This podcast is part of the Batman Universe Podcast Network, hosted by the BatmanUniverse.net. Check out everything related to Batman and the entire Bat family at the BatmanUniverse.net, including news and original content related to comics, movies, television, merchandise, video games, and more. Also, check out some of the other unique podcasts that TBU has to offer. Consider supporting this podcast by becoming a patron on Patreon. Even $1 can go a long way in supporting this content that you enjoy. Look for a link over at the BatmanUniverse.net to offer your support now. And now, on with the show.
You know you can't do this forever.
I can barely do it now. Steppenwolf, this is the job.
It's my job. And I haven't been doing it. I've been reacting, not leading. You know what you said about Steve
It wasn't my
Trevor?
business, I'm sorry.
You were pushing me to lead the team. But leaders get people killed. I fought, always, when I was needed. But to lead, to step into the light and to say to people, this is worth your life. When it's your fault, they're all Steve Trevor.
We make it through tonight. You can stay in the shadows forever. Dress up like a bat. I won't even sue.
If we get through the night.
Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Bat-Fans. Yes, we're still here, and we are on episode 172. My name is Tim, and joining me, as always, is Dane. Dane, how's it going?
It's going good, Tim. How have you been?
It's been a busy, interesting last few weeks since our last episode, I will say. Just, life throwing stuff at you and things getting in the way. And I'm also in that state where, job searching right now. So that's been my, I guess, what I've been doing the last few weeks is just sending out applications and my resumes out there. So which is always fun, as you know. But
so what happened to your last job?
Yeah, just things didn't quite work out where the business really slowed up.
Oh, I see.
Yes, pretty much ended up in the loss of work. So had to start looking elsewhere.
Well, it's the beginning of a beginning, right, Tim?
Yeah, that's always a good way to look at it. Just that feeling of anxiousness that's hard to shake when you're in that period of looking for work and you don't have anything just yet. So that's probably like the hardest part. But hopefully some will turn up. Speaking
of jobs, I didn't know, and I'm not saying this to be like you should work here, but I didn't know McDonald's has a 401k.
Really? Neither did I.
Yeah.
That's good, though.
Full benefits. And
yeah, everyone's like, I don't know if it's still like that now, but working at McDonald's has always been like the butt of like work jokes type things. But it seems like if they're offering a 401k and benefits, I mean, why not? If it offers a lot of good stuff like that, there's no shame.
Yeah, why not? I mean, I wonder if you can. Yeah, I mean, there must be full-time employment there, right? Like in the actual restaurants.
Yeah, I think there has to be management and all that stuff.
Yeah, but if you're just a regular worker, there has to be full-time work there, right?
Oh, that's a good question. Never really looked into it, but
yeah,
maybe we'll have to now.
Yeah. Well, there's McDonald's for you, Tim. If you want to work at McDonald's, there's a 401k, there's benefits,
there's plenty of locations to choose from. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah,
yeah. So that's been my fun last 2 weeks.
Well, I will say, even if you don't find another job, let's say like you put out all your resumes and nothing comes back, right? You go to these interviews and nothing happens. At least you'll have more time to read comic books and play video games and watch movies.
We just need the money to do those things. At least I should say for new comics and stuff. Unfortunately, that's going to play into this week's episode. As I guess I'll just say it right now. No comic reviews for this episode. I haven't had a chance to even get to my comic shop since our last episode, so I'm behind on just the latest issues there. So no comic book reviews at the end, but I will be reviewing something else at the end of the episode, so stay tuned for that. But as always, I guess before we get going, we got to start with our Dark Knight Rises minute-by-minute commentary, and we are officially starting the 2-hour point of the film. So we made it there last episode, and now we're officially in the 2-hour mark. So are you ready, Dane?
Of course.
All right, so if you got your VHS tape, your Betamax tape, your Laserdisc, your DVD, your HD DVD, your projector, your Blockbuster video membership card, your Netflix physical media, and the best of all, your DVD or VHS to DVD converter. So if you got all those fantastic media formats that, I mean, are just the cream of the crop when you're looking for best quality. We have all those ready to go. I'll give the countdown in 3, 2, 1, go. As Foley slams the door shut on Gordon.
Have you ever done that? Slam the door in somebody's face like that?
No, I haven't actually.
Yeah, me neither. I think that only happens in the movies.
And we see a little kid getting mugged for an apple, or actually he stole from these guys from the apple, but Selena's there to the rescue. And these are one of the early set photo shots I remember seeing, just Anne Hathaway taking down these thugs right here. But without context.
And, it's just an apple. I mean, I understand, these are tough times in Gotham, right? But it's just an apple, right? You can do without one apple.
Maybe it's the principle of it. Like, no one can steal from our group or our turf. And Bruce is back in Gotham.
We made it.
We made it to this point. Which, when we're doing the minute commentaries, while he was in, the cave, sound like we'll never get to this point, but here he is. Another milestone. We're at the 2-hour mark, and Bruce is back in Gotham. So, all right, that's it for our minute-by-minute commentary. And that can lead us into our featured topic, which for this episode is pretty much our featured topic is going to be our news discussions that we usually have afterwards, because we've got a lot of new updates on the Batman, Matt Reeves' film, and also some new DC films that are coming out in a couple of years. And all this stuff happened last week, pretty much the 2 days or a day before our last episode came out. And I was just thinking, man, our new episode's coming out. We just recorded, but I can't wait to talk about all this new stuff that's coming out for the Batman, because it's been pretty quiet on that front lately. I mean, we know Matt Reeves has been working on it. Production's been moving along. There's like only updates we really gotten for it is that, Matt Reeves has completed his first draft or a second draft, or he's going to be submitting a new revised script to Warner Brothers on this date. So that's pretty much all we've heard about it. But last week, the floodgates kind of opened as far as, what we can expect for the Batman. So first off, I guess there's some good news and bad news to go with it, but we'll start with the good news first.
Hey, Tim, I like how you put June 25th, 2011. I just saw that.
I just noticed that too.
So it came out 8 years ago, Tim.
You're listening to this episode in the distant past. But from the future, we time travel back to 2000? What's the Batman Matt Reeves movie going to come out in 2021, not 2011, which is 2 years from now. So in 2009, we're recording this episode. How Matt Reeves' Batman film will be out in 2 years in 2011, but yet we recorded it in 2019.
I know. It's weird how time works, right?
Yep. I'm creating a time paradox with my show notes here. No, but the big news is that the Batman has an official release date, and it will be June 25th, 2021. And that was always a question as far as, are they going to be able to start filming soon so it can make the 2020 release date? And even when Matt Reeves was first announced, there was, remember, talks or maybe hopes that if it gets going quick enough, maybe it can pull off a 2019 release date. But obviously we know that's not happening. But it's really good to know that we have a confirmed official release date that we can look forward to for a brand new Batman movie, June 25th, 2021. And when you think about it, it's not too far off, really. I mean, as we talked about on our last episode, how time just keeps flying by. 2 years is going to go like that, especially with all the other great stuff we have coming down the pipeline to look forward to. So it might seem like, a bit of a ways to wait, when more than we were expecting when we first heard that Matt Reeves was doing the Batman. But first off, he should take all the time he needs, which I'm glad they're not rushing him to make sure to get a Batman movie out. Just let him write the script, get it the way he absolutely wants it, take all the time needed for pre-production, principal photography, all that stuff. So I'm just glad there's a big window for him to make the movie that he wants to make. And I think we'll all be willing to wait a little bit longer to get a really great new solo Batman film. And it's kind of crazy to think how we're just doing our Dark Knight Rises minute by minute commentary, but by the time the Batman comes out, it'll be almost 10 years since the last live action solo Batman movie with the Dark Knight Rises. It'll be 9 years. So, which I think is a pretty big gap in between releases of solo Batman movies. And it'll even be, I would say, a pretty nice gap between Justice League and this next Batman movie will be about 4 years. So, and that kind of leads into the other big news that came out of this, because Deadline was the one that had this report about the release date for the Batman and a few other new DC movies, which we'll get into later. But after that, they reported in their article, it says that Ben Affleck will be passing the torch to another Batman, which, was leading to what we've been hearing previously about Ben Affleck leaving the role as Batman, but still not, 100% confirmation since it's coming from a trade. But the sealing of the deal, I guess, came when just a few minutes after the story went up, Ben Affleck quote tweeted this report from Deadline saying, "Excited for the Batman in summer 2021 and to see Matt Reeves' vision come to life." I think the key word there being see. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much Ben Affleck confirming he is done in the role as Batman, because I don't think he'd be quote tweeting that story that specifically says in the headline of the tweet, Ben Affleck passing the torch. Ben Affleck wouldn't quote that tweet with saying that, expecting him to be in it. But no, that's his way of saying, I'm confirming and acknowledging that, yes, I'm done playing Batman, but I'm still excited to see Matt Reeves' Batman movie, not to make Matt Reeves' Batman movie or star in Matt Reeves' Batman movie. It's to see it as an audience member. So, yeah, that's obviously disappointing for all those, myself included, who really, really enjoyed Ben Affleck's performance as Batman. But at the same time, in no way was I shocked that this was announced by Ben Affleck himself. If anything, I was just more relieved that, okay, good, it's finally confirmed. We could put it to bed. He's officially done, and we can move on with, getting ready to see who will be our next Batman in Matt Reeves, hopefully series, but at least first Batman film that he's going to make. So, yeah, kind of a good news, bad news situation there. But again, the bad news is something that we've been expecting for a while now. And if anything, it's just great that we can finally move on from it and accept it that Ben Affleck is done as Batman. So, yeah, that was kind of the first big news that came out for the Batman. So, yeah, to me, I'm excited for it. And yeah, it's disappointing to lose Ben Affleck as Batman, because he did a great job in what he had. And of course, not in Batman v Superman, for me personally, not everything of how his Batman was written was what I wanted to see, but he still did a great job portraying the character for a live action version of Batman that I think will be remembered for a long time, but also just kind of one that was so underutilized, and just unfortunate that we won't get to see Ben Affleck's solo Batman movie that we were just expecting for so long. But that's going to be the biggest, disappointment of it all, just that he really didn't get a chance to shine fully on his own as Batman in his own movie, which I think could have been awesome. But I'm just excited to see what Matt Reeves has in store for us in this next chapter in Batman cinematic history. So closing the book on one, but the start of another, and I'm excited for that.
Makes me wonder how it's going to work, like Ben Affleck was in Batman vs. Superman and Justice League, and, now a new actor is going to be playing Batman in the Matt Reeves movie. So like, how is that gonna work? Like, are they gonna do like a flashback in time, or are they gonna do like Ben Affleck's coming back, but only for like the joint movies, or is it?
Ben Affleck's done, man.
Yeah,
I don't think he's coming back at all. But that is a good point, and honestly, that is going to be one of the things I'm most curious about to see how they handle it. I mean, for right now, I'm thinking they might just, ignore continuity, just let Matt Reeves do what he wants. And if it doesn't outright contradict anything that was established in Ben Affleck's Batman movies, then you can kind of put it in the same universe. But at the same time, I don't think he's going to be holding to anything that happened there. And all signs point to that they're looking for a younger Batman than what Ben Affleck was portraying. So maybe if they wanted to, it could be something that took place earlier in his career and still have it be connected into that universe. But at the same time, too, maybe they'll just want to treat it as, like they did in the 90s where Val Kilmer took over for Michael Keaton. It was all set in the same continuity, and George Clooney for Val Kilmer. It's all the same continuity that was established in Batman 89, but just a different actor playing the role. And maybe that's just how they'll move along with it. Just kind of you have to accept it's someone different as Batman now. But
yeah.
I don't know. That will be interesting to see what they decide to do ultimately.
And it's good to see Warner Brothers going back to its bread and butter. I mean, I don't mean any offense to like Superman fans or Wonder Woman fans or Flash fans or what have you, right? But they know that Batman makes money. So and people are okay with that, so they're going back to it. I mean, even Batman and Robin, the worst Batman film, made like $230 something million, and so it's good to see them going back to their bread and butter, because I think this is what it needs right now. And you have a director like Matt Reeves, and it seems like they're giving him space and time to do it. So
yeah,
so we'll see.
Yeah, it is good that because that Batman is, like you said, kind of coming back and with his own solo movie now, but with Wonder Woman and Aquaman being as big of hits as they are, kind of the next level of DC heroes being up in the forefront with successful movies is awesome. But at the same time, you want to have the big guns up there as well with Batman and Superman. But unfortunately, it's going to be a while for Superman, it looks like. But it's always great to have Batman be part of that. And I've been hearing reports, or not reports, but actually direct quotes from those like the higher ups at Warner Brothers saying how they're really focusing on just telling singular superhero story movies and not worrying about crossovers and creating a universe as they tried to do previously, which I'm kind of torn on that, because I think that's definitely the direction they need to go to have these movies be successful. But at the same time, I still want to see that connective universe tissue, because we know it can work when you just look at the MCU and what Marvel has done. And it's just a shame that, DC has yet to crack that code to make it work successfully. And I can understand why they're not focusing on that route, given how Justice League wasn't a success financially and the mixed reactions to Batman versus Superman. So I get why they're doing that, and it's probably the right move. It's just there's always going to be that fan in me that's thinking, if only they just could have made it work like Marvel, because we're seeing it work so successfully there, and I want to see the same for DC characters, seeing more of Batman and Superman with Wonder Woman and Aquaman and Green Lantern and Flash and all that stuff. So that's the one thing that is going to be in the back of my mind, of always, as great as I'm hoping that these movies are going to be, the fact that they won't have much connective tissue for me is going to be something that's just a little disappointing, because we know it can work, and just a shame that it can't be done for DC. But it's definitely something that Warner Brothers should focus on, just making sure their single solo movies for these characters are done right, and that looks to be the focus so far with everything they have in production right now with Batman, Wonder Woman 1984, and I'm assuming the upcoming Aquaman sequel. So yeah, I mean, really, it's an exciting time to be excited for upcoming DC movies with these kind of announcements. And the other big news that happened with the announcement of the release date of the Batman is that we got two other DC movies. One's pretty surprising, but the other one is one that we knew was in development, but we just got a little more details on. And the first one, what was kind of surprising, is that they're getting a DC's Super Pets film, which at first I thought, oh, it's going to be an animated style type movie, but no, it looks like everything I'm reading so far is that it's going to be live action. I was like, okay, that's kind of a strange choice to have one of your, I guess, one of your movies that's going to be coming out soon, because I believe the release is in May 2021, so it'll be before the Batman. So I just found it pretty interesting that that's a direction they wanted to go, but at the same time, hey, we see some strange stuff happen in comic book movies with strange characters and creatures, so maybe they can make it work. I'm curious if, that would be funny if that ends up like a team-up movie of like Crypto the Super Dogs, Ace the Bat Hound, and other DC superhero pets. Like they have a team-up movie and it becomes more powerful or more successful than Justice League the movie did. Talk about the irony of that happened, but we'll have to see. But that was a surprising announcement. But the other big story was that the Suicide Squad, I'm not going to say sequel, but the next Suicide Squad movie has a release date for, I believe that is August 6th, 2021. So 2 months after the Batman. And it looks like that James Gunn will be directing that movie. I mean, it was announced previously that he was writing it and involved with, the script, but now it's confirmed that he will be directing it as well. And the report from the Hollywood Reporter is saying that it's pretty much, I don't want to say a reboot, but it's definitely not going to be a sequel to the 2016 movie from David Ayer. It says it's going to come up with his own new set of characters he wants to use for it. And going back to what we were talking about, the focus being on, focusing on just on the movie of these characters that directors want to tell. James Gunn has free reign to use whatever characters he wants, the story he wants to develop. It says it's going to be in a different direction than the previous movies. So I guess you can call it a quasi reboot or just relaunch of the Suicide Squad. Maybe relaunch might be better because maybe it'll be, I assume it might take place in the same universe, but it's just going to be with a different batch of characters, and maybe one or two from the previous film will make an appearance in it. Because I'm still hoping Will Smith's Deadshot shows up in the Suicide Squad, because I love how Will Smith played Deadshot in that film. I'd like to see him again. And maybe Harley Quinn, but with Birds of Prey and some other Harley Quinn projects I know Margot Robbie has in development, maybe she won't be involved with Suicide Squad. But I don't know, it is interesting that they decided just to go full-blown, relaunch and make it totally different than the previous Suicide Squad movie. But, I'm excited that James Gunn is directing it. I'm a big fan of Guardians of the Galaxy, so if we can bring some of that flavor into the DC universe, I'm all for it. And another interesting thing that was revealed is that Warner Brothers and DC kind of went to James Gunn and let him have his pick of what he wanted to do, what project he wanted to work on. And they even mentioned that Superman was on the table for him. They had a little discussion about that. So when that news first came out about James Gunn writing the new Suicide Squad movie, I was always wondering, is that something that he picked, or did Warner Brothers offer that to him, knowing his success he had with Guardians of the Galaxy and doing a good job of writing for an ensemble cast of unique characters? So I got my answer with this, as it looks like James Gunn did pick Suicide Squad as the project he wanted to work on next. So I think that, gives me more confidence in the movie, because it's always better when, a director is doing something he really wants to work on and tell a story he really wants to tell, instead of, the studio kind of going to him and say, hey, you want to do this? And sure, you can get invested. You can get invested in your project when it's offered to you that way, I'm sure. But I think it adds a little more to it when you have the choice of doing something you really wanted to do and can really get invested in the characters and the story you want to create for this project. So I think that's good news all on that front. So excited to see what James Gunn comes up with the Suicide Squad and what characters he's going to use, and just how different it's going to be from the last one. So I've got that and the Batman to look forward to, as well as DC superhero pets in 2021. So mark your calendars. 2021 is going to be a big year for DC.
Yeah, I think that's it's a bad idea for James Gunn to be doing Suicide Squad. I think that they shouldn't come back in movie form. I mean, I know why he did, because it's a group of, you know, strange characters that are wacky and stuff. But I think that franchise or movie series shouldn't come back at this point. I just don't think that's a good idea, but I've been wrong before, and I will say that here is your monthly reminder that Katana was in fact in Suicide Squad, the movie. Also,
yeah, she is. You know, when you think about the Suicide Squad movie, she's not a character that immediately comes to mind as being the ones who are in it.
well, she doesn't really do anything, right?
Not really.
Like
She
just
looked great,
introduced.
though.
She's just introduced. Says she has like a cool sword, and then you never hear from her again. So, yeah, I don't think that this is a good idea. I mean, I understand, you know, it's James Gunn. James Gunn did Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2. And so, like, Suicide Squad is the closest thing that DC has to Guardians of the Galaxy. And it's a bunch of weird characters and stuff. But I don't know. I'm more excited for the Birds of Prey movie. But...
Yeah, that still kind of surprises me, is that James Gunn would, since we now know this was his choice on the project he wanted to work on, that he would choose something that's a little similar to Guardians of the Galaxy. I would have thought maybe, you know, since just coming off of Guardians and, you know, being fired from the project in an unceremoniously way, he'd maybe want to do something a little more different, especially if he had his pickings for any DC project they wanted to work on. So I know it is surprising that he did decide to do something a little similar, because I was expecting if it was his choice, he'd pick something different. So I know he just must be really excited about telling us the story with the Suicide Squad. So we'll see.
I guess. I mean, he doesn't have to do much to make it better. So, yeah.
You're not wrong there. Even though I do enjoy the Suicide Squad movie.
Why?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
it's fun and entertaining. I still think they did a good job with most of the characters, like I said, Deadshot, Harley, and it's still a fun movie I enjoy. So yes, it could have been better. But
you know what's one name that, you know, people don't bring up? You know, people always bring up Harley or Deadshot. People never talk about Slipknot.
And for good reason. We all know why Slipknot was there. So he could be there could be one Suicide Squad member who loses their head. But going back to a little bit for Matt Reeves' Batman movie, I mean, that's another thing. I think he himself called it the Batman interview. So hopefully that's just the official title and it sticks. I don't think like Warner Brothers has officially said it's titled The Batman, but at this point, it's almost like they got to. Everyone's calling it that. It's a cool title. It sounds great. So hopefully The Batman is the title that sticks.
Well, The Dark Knight was already taken. So,
yes.
I mean, you can't do that anymore. So, yeah, The Batman.
And it just sounds cool.
Yeah. Especially,
remember,
like, forcing people to say The Batman, not just like, okay, I want a ticket for Batman.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then, if I was working at a movie theater and someone goes, one for Batman, please, I go, sorry, that movie came out 30 years ago. There's another movie called The Batman playing right now. You get a ticket for that.
Yeah.
I remember when, after The Dark Knight came out, and we're wondering what the next movie would be called. Like, I think the most popular one was The Caped Crusader. Just going on the different titles that Batman would have. That was the next one in line, I guess, after The Dark Knight. But
how about the Gotham Bat? Like they called him in Batman versus Superman, right? Did they call him the Gotham Bat or something? Or am I mixing that up?
No, I think he did at some point.
No. Yeah, but that's my choice for not this upcoming Matt Reeves The Batman, but the next one, the Gotham Bat.
Oh, well, if that ever happens, I'm going to give you credit, Dane. The next reboot.
I hope they get I mean, we were talking about this last episode, but I hope they get like a big actor for the villain. I'm not sure has there been a villain announcement?
No, everyone's pointing to the rumors about the Penguin possibly having a lead role as the villain, and there's there's even in this article from the Hollywood Reporter that I was about to mention with Matt Reeves sharing a little more details about Batman and the villains. They ask him about Josh Gad possibly playing the Penguin, and he just goes, "I'm good friends with Josh Gad. Like my daughter, like our kids go to school together, so something to that effect. Where like I like Josh Gad, so kind of playing coy with it. So right now, I guess if you could call it the most significant rumor out there for a villain, it's the Penguin being played by Josh Gad, but we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know who that is, but
he was he does the voice of we can't obviously see him, but in Frozen he's the voice of the snowman.
Hold on,
and,
I'm looking him up.
Okay. He was in the Beauty and the Beast live action movie.
Oh, like a portly kind of guy.
Yeah, he's a portly fellow, which obviously goes into the fan casting rumors of him being the Penguin.
I guess. I mean, I guess I'm just waiting for, like, I don't know, Tom Cruise to play the Riddler or something. You know, like, not like...
See, then you're going into 90s Batman era where all villains had to make sure they're a big star name attached to it, which is not the way to go.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're fit for it, yeah, but don't go out of your way to make sure you get a big action star, or not even action star, but just a big movie star. His name attached to it.
But I'm thinking, like, ever since Heath Ledger did the Joker, everybody's like got to be like this character actor from, or that's like the fifth lead in an HBO show, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. It was just I trust him to just get whoever he believes is perfect for the role, just like Christopher Nolan did in all his movies. So that's what you like to believe, and I think Matt Reeves is definitely one of those directors who would do just that.
Right.
But what's interesting, speaking of villains, in his latest interview with the Hollywood Reporter, he goes, "You can't have Batman without a villain, and there will be a rogues gallery." He says, "We're starting to put together a battle plan in the process for casting his rogues gallery. Says the studio has a definite shape in mind for when they see us doing it, and I think it's aligning pretty well with what we're thinking too. So we might not even just be getting one Batman villain in this. It might be a few, which again could play into the story that I think Matt Reeves wants to tell here. Because again, every time he talks about what his plan and vision is for this Batman movie, it just gets me so excited. This part is nothing new. We said it before, but I just love it every time he describes it, where he goes, "It's very much a point of view driven noir Batman tale. It's told very squarely on his shoulders, and I hope it's going to be a story that will be thrilling but also emotional. It's more Batman in his detective mode than we've seen in the films." And that part about this really being a detective story, that could be something where you could utilize a lot of the different members of Batman's rogues gallery. Because if there's a mystery going on and Batman's trying to solve, you could see him trying to investigate, interrogate, or go up against different villains that he's come across over the years, and just have a couple of red herrings out there as well, where you think maybe it's this villain behind it, but actually it's this villain, this lesser known villain who maybe we never would expect it to see be a main bad guy in a Batman movie. So a lot of different ways you can go with it. That just has me really excited.
Is it just me, or are you also a little gun shy when they announce that there's going to be multiple villains, or there's more than one villain? I mean, because we got Batman Forever, we got Batman and Robin. That has 3, I think. Spider-Man 3, Amazing Spider-Man 2. Yeah. You know, so like.
No, I agree.
Are you also a little gun shy when it comes to like that sort of thing, where it's like, oh no, they're piling on with villains, and you know, Spider-Man's going to change into 3 different outfits also. So like, I don't know.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But like I just said, what he has planned for Detective Story, that's what gives me confidence that I think it could really work in a cool way. And there's rare cases where I mean, I'm just going back to the Dark Knight trilogy. To me, that's the best example. The Dark Knight specifically, of the perfect use of 2 villains where it doesn't seem, overstuffed. The stories, you got one story here with one, the other story here with one, and then they come together at the end to team up to take down the hero. The classic cliche of supervillain team-ups. But the way Christopher Nolan did it with Two-Face and the Joker was so well done, so executed beautifully. That's the way to do it. So there is precedence for making a successful multiple villain story work. And again, going back to how much I think Matt Reeves is capable as a director to pull that off, just what I great job he's done with the Planet of the Apes films. I mean, I just think he could pull that off with multiple villains. And again, just going back to that whole idea of telling a detective story is a perfect way to utilize that. And just throwing these red herrings, like I said, out there, or Batman trying to come to get evidence or clues by visiting different villains who send him on a path to discover some other clue about the mystery he's trying to solve. So even if it's like a villain in just one scene or two, and that can tie into why he's saying there is a rogues gallery, or maybe it's just a moment Batman's in Arkham and we see these villains in their cells, and maybe Batman's interrogating a few of them, kind of what we've seen recently in Tom King's Batman comic run. So maybe stuff like that. But I'm just really confident it'll be a way that really works, and it won't feel, oh, there's too many villains here that take away from the overall story. So I got complete confidence.
Yeah, that's true. If you look back at or just to, like, I guess that's the cheap way to do it, right? Like, I don't know if you remember, but Game of Thrones season 1, there's gonna be like this big battle, and then Tyrion gets knocked out.
Yeah,
and then they don't have to do the battle. But going back to what you said, kind of reassured me on the multiple villain kind of thing, because yeah, the Dark Knight does have 3 villains technically. You know, the Mafia, Joker, and Two-Face. So yeah, I mean, I guess it can work, but still, like, I'm thinking about Amazing Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3, Batman Forever, Batman and Robin, you know. So yeah, you've reassured me too.
Yeah. Like I said, it's all about the hands of the director. And I probably sound like a broken record to saying how much I trust Matt Reeves in this, but he just reminds me of Christopher Nolan, the way he handles stories and characters, which I just love the idea that he's doing a Batman movie. And I just think it's going to be something different from the Dark Knight trilogy, but have that same level of quality that I think that we've come to expect from Batman movies now after Christopher Nolan did it. So
yeah, not only that, he also has experience with a franchise, a big franchise. Right?
Exactly, yeah.
And you were talking about it earlier, you know, the pipe dream of, you know, the Marvel Cinematic Universe in the DC Cinematic Universe, right? That whole, like, it's all connected to this big picture thing. There's all the heroes interacting with each other. So, yeah, I think it can work.
Yeah, this is a lot to be excited about, really, with this. The news of Batman movie, but the release date, what Matt Reeves has planned, the direction he wants to go. And yeah, I guess, you know, it is a bummer that Ben Affleck is no longer involved in it. And but the fun part is waiting to see who's going to be cast as the next Batman. But for me, I'm not someone who ever likes to do fan casting. And to be honest, I'm already kind of tired of seeing all these articles and reports about, here's why this actor would be a good Batman. Here are the top 5 choices of actors who should play Batman. It's just, I'll react to it and think about it once I actually hear who is the next Batman, and then I'll give my opinion on it there. Because right now, I really don't have anyone in mind who I think should play Batman, because I never would have thought Ben Affleck never would have been a choice of mine to play Batman. And we all know the uproar that happened in 2013. It's crazy how times changed. I mean, 2013, Ben Affleck was cast, fandom erupted in outrage. I shouldn't say all of it, but a good majority of it just did not want Ben Affleck involved with Batman. And now I guarantee you most of those people who are upset about Ben Affleck are the ones upset now that he's no longer Batman. I mean, he did a good job of winning over the naysayers there. I mean, like I said, his performance was great. It's just a shame that he never got to really dive his teeth into a full-blown Batman story where I think he just really give us something truly special on the front of Bruce Wayne and Batman, because I think he did a good job as both, and a little bit we saw of him in BVS and Justice League. Just a shame we're not going to see more of that. So, but I've got to give props and tip my hat to Ben Affleck and to say, you know, what a good job he did in the limited time that he had as Batman. And like I said at the beginning, it's just a shame that we're just not going to see him as in that role as more in his own solo movie. And unfortunately, I think his legacy as Batman is going to be one that is just sadly underutilized and just lost potential, really, I think is the best way to put it, because we saw the potential of how great he was as Batman, and it's just a shame he didn't get more of that. So Ben Affleck, thank you for a great performance as Batman, and I think you'll be remembered as one of the better live action Batman that we've had. So his legacy is cemented as one of the actors who played Batman.
Okay, so what if it's Josh Gad
as Batman?
Yeah.
Hey, I've come to a point where I'm never going to be so upset at any casting announcement anymore after Heath Ledger. I've said that numerous times, how wrong I was, how stupid I acted when I heard he was cast as the Joker, and I will never make that mistake again. So maybe I will think he's right for the role, but I'm always going to have an open mind to whoever gets cast in a role that I'm looking forward to seeing.
Danny DeVito as Batman.
He brings experience of the Batman world with his portrayal as Penguin, so maybe he'll bring some of that to his portrayal as Batman. I don't know.
I'm just trying to think of like an actor where you would just say no. Sean Connery.
I think that'd be cool, actually.
No. Nowadays, how he is now.
Oh, wait, I haven't seen him in years. Like, he's retired from acting.
Oh,
so.
right, yeah, he retired. Never mind. Not Sean Connery. I'm just trying to... Martin Freeman.
It'd definitely be a different take, but I like Martin Freeman.
Yeah. He was in... not Lord of the Rings, right? He was in
The Hobbit.
The Hobbit, right?
Yeah, he was Bilbo.
Yeah, those movies are kind of like the Planet of the Apes movies, the recent ones. It's where like they released 3 of them, but I just can't remember a single thing from them. I know at one point Woody Harrelson was in them.
He was in the last Planet of the Apes movie, yeah.
Yeah.
He did a good job in that role, too. He was the bad guy.
Yeah, right. Woody Harrelson.
Yeah, why not?
Southern Batman.
You can change his accent if you wanted to. And why not?
Yeah, that's true. What's one actor that you would not like in that role? I can't really say Jake Gyllenhaal, but because he would actually be good in it. But
yeah, I know he's a big fan casting actor that people want.
Let's see. Yeah, I'm out of ideas.
Yeah. See, you could have a tough time with that one. Well, if you come up with one, let me know.
Yeah, I will.
And lastly, this happened not too long after we recorded our last episode, like a few days and a little bit before all this news came out. But Birds of Prey has officially started production, and they put out this short little teaser video showing that production is beginning. There's really not much to it. It's maybe just about 30 seconds, but it gives us our first look at the actors getting ready to play their characters. Some in costume. It was funny. Some of them looked like they were in their costume. Some looks like they were just in, doing a screen test, like not really in full costume, but getting ready to prepare. So, but I just think it was just cool that Warner Brothers and Margot Robbie decided to release this video. I always like it when studios get a jump ahead as far as what the character is going to look like before production starts, and all these set photos leak out, because some set photos have already been out on the internet for filming of Birds of Prey. So they wanted to stay ahead of the game and release this video to give us our first look this way. And I always like that. So all the characters are in this video. I mean, it's kind of, some of them are blink and you miss it, so you have to go through it in slow motion. But we get to see Harley in her new outfit. We get to see Huntress. We get to see Black Canary, Renee Montoya, Cassandra Cain, Black Mask, Ewan McGregor as Black Mask without his mask. So that's one of those instances where hopefully he's not in his full costume, because I will be really disappointed if he's not wearing his black mask. why else will they call it Black Mask? But that's one of those things. So I'm sure it's, it's just something where they're not filming any scenes with him in his black mask yet. So, but they wanted to make sure they showed Ewan McGregor that he is in this role. So, and then also Victor Zaz, who is sporting his blonde hair, the thing I was most anticipating in the movie, Dane, blonde-haired Victor Zaz, and we're getting it in Birds of Prey. So, yeah, it was just cool to get. Again, nothing really too earth-shattering to go off of, or just getting a look at the characters and the visual style for the movie. So I just think it was a cool thing for Warner Brothers and Margot Robbie to do, to give us a first look at it as production gets going.
Yeah, Margot Robbie looks good in it. It's too bad I couldn't really see anybody else in it because it's way too fast.
Yeah, like I said, blink and you miss on certain characters.
Especially for like someone like Ewan McGregor, as Black Mask. I think you need to spend a little bit more time on him, but maybe that's just me.
Yeah, well, when I first saw it, I didn't even see Ewan McGregor.
Yeah.
It went by that quick, and then when I was seeing screen grabs from it on Twitter, it was so they did show Ewan McGregor. And I rewatched it. Oh, there he is.
Yeah.
It was like that for a few characters. Cassandra Cain was another one where I didn't notice right away. But
yeah,
I'll say, that's another thing. I did see some complaints about it on Twitter, saying, what's the point of this? They didn't show anything. I mean, this is nothing. But it's like, better than nothing. There was a time where when production started on a movie, we wouldn't be getting videos like this at all. You still have to wait a good while to get a first teaser trailer. So again, it's cool that I think movie studios are doing this to avoid, set photos being our first look at these characters. Why not just put out a short video like this, even if it doesn't really show anything? It's just a cool little thing to get fans excited that, this movie is in production. So hopefully this is a new thing that a lot more studios do.
I mean, I think the main thing that I got from it was they have a direction that they're going with. They have a style that they're going with. It's not really taking themselves seriously. With Margot Robbie dancing around and in that big fur coat thing. Mm-hmm. So I mean that's what I sort of get out of it. They have a direction, they have a style they're going with, and this is what it's going to be, which is what I think this video was for. So
yeah, totally, that's what it should do. So yeah, no problems with it whatsoever.
Yeah.
All right, so I think that's going to do it for our feature topic, which is pretty much a roundup of our news and discussion topics. But there was a lot of big stuff regarding DC and the Batman, and obviously the biggest being the release date of the Batman, and that Ben Affleck is officially done now in the role. So with that, I guess we can just go into our conversation with Alex / listener feedback. And as always, we got a new email from Jordan. And Jordan says, "Hey, my Bat Brothers. I loved hearing you guys pick your favorites of the year 2018 on your last episode. I dig the new categories you've added. Here are my picks. Favorite live action movie, Aquaman. Being our only live-action DC film release in 2018, Aquaman had a lot riding on its shoulders, and it delivered 100%. This movie continues the DCEU's trend of delivering visually breathtaking films, and Aquaman is truly like no live-action movie before it. It oozes Jason Momoa's Aquaman's super entertaining personality from start to finish. Blackman distills every scene he's in, and the film has both super emotional scenes and super epic action scenes." Which, by the way, I think they just announced not too long ago, or maybe even yesterday or the 2 days ago, but Aquaman is coming out on digital and Blu-ray in the month of March. I believe it's March 12th for the digital and the 26th for the Blu-ray. The same 2-week gap that's always with the digital and physical media releases, which bugs me, but I'm just come to expect it now. So maybe I don't have the official details right in front of me, but it's definitely in March in those typical 2-week gaps. But I'll be excited to get 4K, man. I think it's going to look absolutely stunning in 4K, so can't wait for that. But Jordan's favorite animated movie was Batman Gotham by Gaslight. Not only is Batman Gotham by Gaslight my favorite animated film of 2018, but it is my favorite animated film of all time. It took a comic that I love and added in the one element that could make the story even better for me, Selena Kyle. Jennifer Carpenter is bat-tastic in the role, and I love how this movie really showcases the hero that Selena is. The way it explores the Bat-Cat relationship and how Bruce and Selena understand one another is super beautiful. Favorite live-action TV show? Gotham. The second half of Season 4 of Gotham aired in 2018 and was full of so many super beautiful Bat-Cat moments. After we didn't see much of Bruce and Selena together for most of the first half of season 4, and the second half, or I should say the second half more than made up for that. My favorite single live-action TV episode ever, One Bad Day, aired in 2018, and it features multiple beautiful Bat-Cat moments, such as Bruce, I'm going to be here whenever you need me, leading up to the super beautiful Bat-Cat kiss at the end. Favorite animated TV show? Justice League Action. The first season...
Tim.
Yeah.
I know what I keep on forgetting to mention on this show. True Detective Season 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've been watching it, and there's this guy in there, this African-American guy. I could have swore I've seen his face before. Like, I've seen him in something. It was Cyborg.
Oh, really? He was in there. What's his name?
Ray Fisher.
Ray Fisher, there you go, yeah.
Good actor.
Is he one of the main characters in it?
No, he plays the son of one of the main characters, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so, yeah, good actor. It's a total surprise. I thought he was just, sort of like a movie actor. I didn't know he also did TV, so.
Yeah, it looks like, unfortunately, we're not going to see him as Cyborg again, and I thought he did a great job at Cyborg, so it's like another unfortunate loss of an actor from the DCEU. Ben Affleck and Ray Fisher and Henry Cavill still up in the air, but I'm not putting too much confidence that Henry Cavill will be back, even though I'd love to see him return. But it's almost like a casualty list coming out of Justice League right now. The only survivors are Gal Gadot and Jason Momoa.
Also, on True Detective Season 3, Scoot McNairy, who played that guy in the wheelchair.
Yeah, it's a DCEU reunion, it seems like. Still want to check out that show. I know I've heard nothing but great things about it.
Yeah,
but
it's really good this year. So
yeah, I've heard this season's been really good. So
yeah, I just didn't recognize Ray Fisher without the metal the metal head,
the metal body, pretty much.
Metal body.
Yeah. But Jordan continues saying his favorite animated TV show is Justice League Action. The first season of Justice League Action wrapped up in 2018, and it ended with a bang. This series has such a bat-tastic cast, especially Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill back as Batman and the Joker, respectively, and Charlie Slater reprising his role as Flash from The Batman and many other projects. I love the animation style of it, and the stories it tells in its short episodes are super entertaining. My jaw is still on the floor from one episode that aired in 2018, Barehanded, which features a nod to Green Lantern, the animated series. I still can't believe they put in there. Yeah, Justice League Action. I haven't seen every episode, but I did catch most of the episodes that wrapped up this season, and it was great, like Jordan said, especially the Green Lantern ones. That episode, Barehanded, where Hal Jordan loses his Green Lantern ring in the sink of a public bathroom, and he has to end up taking a ride with the cabbie. And so there's a lot of fun stuff that happens. And yes, Jordan, I know exactly what you're talking about as far as that Green Lantern animated series reference they put in there with Aya. So that was cool. And his favorite album is Aquaman, the original motion picture soundtrack. Rupert Gregerson-Williams followed up his Bat-tastic Wonder Woman score with a Bat-tastic score for the King of Atlantis as well. I bought it when it came out a week before the film's release, and I was listening to it. And a super intimidating and epic track came on. I remember thinking, this has to be Black Manta's theme. I immediately looked at my phone to see what track it was, and indeed I was right. That theme is perfect for him. I also love Skylar Grey's song, Everything I Need. A few emails ago, we ranked our favorite lyrical songs used in DCEU, and that was before Aquaman. Now that Aquaman has been released, my list definitely needs a revision, because Everything I Need has to be on it now, as does another song used in Aquaman that didn't make it onto the soundtrack album, but that I loved even more than Everything I Need. She's a Mystery to Me by Roy Orbison. That song plays when Arthur and Mera are in Sicily, and I bought it separately right after seeing the film for the first time because I loved it so much. Yeah, the Aquaman score really was good. I think that's an underrated aspect of the movie. It's one of those films where, as I'm seeing the movie for the first time, the music's really sticking out with me that I liked. So that's always great when it happens. So the fact that Aquaman did that was really cool. Has some great character themes, and then also throws in some synth style music for the soundtrack that worked really well for some of the sequences in Atlantis. So overall, I agree, Jordan. It is a great soundtrack.
So who sings that first song then?
Skylar Grey, I think he said is the name of the artist.
Skylar Grey. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think it's probably the song that plays at the end credits of the film, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. And when do they play the Ray Orbison?
It's kind of in the middle, like you said, when they're Arthur and Mara are in Sicily right before the attack of Black Manta, where they're just kind of walking around the village, interacting with certain people there.
Are they actually in Italy, or is it a green screen? We're in Canada, sort of thing.
That's a good question. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It looked like it was, at least for certain shots. I know not every shot. It's probably especially the action sequence there probably wasn't, but maybe just in those moments where they're walking around it was. But I'm not sure. If not, they did a great job of making it look like Sicily. So
didn't they shoot Attack of the Clones?
And episode
Italy?
1.
And episode 1.
Pretty much the exterior of the palace on Naboo is all in Italy. So
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Naboo is space Italy, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
It's like Tatooine in space. Oh, now I forget the country's name.
Tunisia,
right?
Yeah.
I was gonna say. Yeah, Tunisia.
Exactly.
Where did they shoot Jakku?
That was in Abu Dhabi.
Oh, Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you got to go to a different country for a different planet, even though they're both deserts. But Jordan continues his list by saying his favorite video game was Batman: The Enemy Within. And you know what? Honestly, I forgot that it was even out in 2018, the last few episodes, because Jordan goes, I know for Game of the Year, this wouldn't count as eligible for 2017 rather than 2018, given that the episodes began in 2017. But since the final 2 episodes came out in 2018, I'm counting it for the purpose of this. And that's totally fine, Jordan. If a game came out in 2018, you can count it. Even if you didn't and you just played it this year, as Dane did with Super Mario Odyssey, it's all good. But he goes, the first season delivered so many super beautiful Batcat moments, and the second season gifted us with even more. The rooftop kiss and the kiss in the Batcave being my favorites. The second season also blew me away, just as the first season did, by putting me in the shoes of both Batman and Bruce Wayne in a way I'd never expected before, which is something I'd always dreamed of. I also love the trend that Batman: The Enemy Within continues from the first season of putting a super brilliant twist on the mythology that keep us constantly on our toes. Yes, indeed. And again, it's just unfortunate that it looks like that'll be it for that Batman series. But at least they gave us 2 phenomenal Batman gaming experiences.
That's unfortunate.
I know.
Total closing down. It's just sad.
Hopefully those developers who work there go to different studios and maybe form another studios.
Yeah.
Start back up. They can work together again and make more games like that. Because it's so talented and there's so much fun, those games they created, that you definitely want to have more of them.
Did you play the Game of Thrones one?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Was that any good or no?
That was good. Probably not as good as the Batman one.
Right.
But it was. I had fun with it. Because you're playing 3 different characters that their stories don't all intersect, but they do have connections in some ways. But you get some tough choices by the end, and in typical Game of Thrones fashion, if you make the wrong ones, your characters don't get happy endings. So
yeah, right.
That's what makes it fun.
So are you playing as, like, I don't know, Sansa?
No, you interact with the main characters, but you're never playing as the main characters.
Oh, I see. So you're playing like a group of people that they made up that aren't in the books or the movies.
Yeah.
I mean, TV show.
Mm-hmm. So one character you're playing is like a family of the North, and then once the Boltons take over, you're dealing with Ramsay Bolton a lot. So,
I see.
And then another character who joins the Night Watch, so you're following him there. You interact with Jon Snow, and you're up on the wall. And then you go through, the land where the wildlings are at. So then another character you're playing, she's related to. I forget. I think she's a brother of the family that you're playing with, that's in the North, but she's in King's Landing, and so you're her dealing with, playing pretty much the Game of Thrones there, with dealing with Cersei, dealing with Queen Marjorie. So trying to make sure you survive in that probably the worst place in the Seven Kingdoms at that point. So it is fun.
Is it me, or is it every scene in King's Landing? It looks miserably hot.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yep, you're exactly right.
Yeah, I mean, especially for, like, I don't know, the guy that plays the Mountain. He always has to wear It's always wear the armor and stuff. So I don't
I
know.
can't imagine when the Starks went there for the first time, coming from the north, how cold it is, and you come to
Right?
King's Landing, how it looks like hot, sticky, and sweaty it is. Would want to go back immediately.
Yeah, it's like if you're an actor on Game of Thrones, where would you rather be? Would you rather be up north in Iceland, or would you rather be wherever they filmed the King's Landing scenes?
I would think. Well, for me personally, I just love how the snow and the scenery looks in Iceland.
Yeah,
So I'd want to stay there, but I'm sure it's more uncomfortable being in that real cold weather and unless
yeah.
having to be real bundled up. But
Or a nice little in between, which is Scotland, right? They film
yeah,
Scotland. They I forget the name of the Stark's home.
Winterfell.
Winterfell, yeah.
Yeah,
Don't they film that over there?
yeah, I believe they
Yeah,
do. Yeah, that would be the perfect spot. I love how that looks.
yeah. But
But
anyway,
Jordan,
sorry.
yeah. Hey, it's us. You know the tangents we always go on.
Yeah.
Jordan says favorite comic book writer Tom King, or I should say I skipped one. His favorite comic book series is Batman. So I'm sure this doesn't come as any surprise to anyone. Nor will my pick for the next category, which I just spoiled. The Batman Rebirth run continues to be my favorite comic book run of all time. The way it explores my OTP Batman and Catwoman is an absolute dream come true for me as a massive Batcat shipper. While overall the whole run has been a love letter to the Bat-Cat relationship, certain issues in particular really feel that way. And 2018 gave us two more of those, Batman number 44 and of course Batman 50. And as I said earlier, his favorite comic book writer is Tom King. Just as Batman is my favorite comic book series of 2018, Tom is of course my favorite comic book writer of 2018 and of all time. He shares my love of the Bat-Cat relationship. He truly understands why Batman and Catwoman are endgame, and he writes their relationship better than anyone ever has before. Tom truly writes poetry. His favorite comic book artist, Stanley Artgerm Lau. You might expect me to pick either Jim Lee or Joel Jones for this, and I almost did, but I had to go with Artgerm due to his super breathtakingly beautiful variant covers for the first arc of Joel's Catwoman book. My favorite is his variant cover for Catwoman 5, which is a Batcat cover featuring Selina with Batman artistically wrapped around her, but I love them all so much. He has a super sleek and realistic style that just really appeals to me. Yeah, I had to check out that cover once you mentioned it here, Jordan. I looked it up, and it was pretty cool. It's definitely an artsy style visual he was going for with Batman and Catwoman, but it's really different and unique. It was really cool. I liked it a lot. And his favorite experience? Batman and Catwoman's wedding day. I was looking forward to July 4th, 2018 more than, or let me start that again. I was looking forward to July 4th, 2018 more than any day since July 20th, 2012. As a massive Batcat shipper, this day was something I'd always dreamed of, and it finally arrived. My OTP's wedding day was here. I read Batman 50 that morning, and I was just in a complete bat euphoria over yet another super beautiful love letter to my OTP that Tom had crafted. I was bawling over the super beautiful love letters between Batman and Catwoman within this love letter of an issue, and the way the issue honors the Batastic history of the Bat-Cat relationship. While
Can I
my
just say
OTP,
I did like that, how he sort of made it like a letter going back and forth to
yeah,
each. Yeah, I did like how he did that.
yeah, it's a theme he's played with since the beginning of his run. Really, where like certain issues and story arcs, there would be the narrative just like a letter between the two of them, but
Yeah.
it was on full display in Batman 50 and done really well too. I agree. He continues saying, "Well, my OTP didn't get married in Batman 50. Batman 50 is nonetheless a super beautiful tribute to Batman and Catwoman's love letter for one another, and I adore it so much. I leave you with a super beautiful passage from Batman's love letter in it. I can be the man who looks into your eyes, who sees beyond the green, the man who knows you, who will always try to know you better, the man who loves you, who will always try to love you better." And that's it for Jordan's picks, which is great to hear, Jordan. Glad to hear your favorites of 2018, as we did ours on last episode, and can't wait to ready for our favorites of 2019. And I have a feeling Tom King and Batman will still be your favorite picks for 2019, but we'll see what else makes the list in this year. But he continues in his email saying, "The new Shazam TV spot, if I can talk, the new Shazam TV spot is fantastic. My favorite moment in it is at the beginning when Billy leaps off the roof and yells Shazam. That is quite the money shot. I love the nod to The Dark Knight with the He's Not So Serious slogan, and I also love the use of the same song from the teaser trailer. And again, I thought we'd have a new trailer to talk about on this episode, Dane, for Shazam, but we're still waiting, and we're just, under 2 months now away from the movie, so I'm surprised we hasn't gotten one yet.
Not only that, we also haven't really heard anything about the Joker movie.
Yeah, they just wrapped up principal photography maybe about a month ago, I think.
Yeah.
So that's true. We should maybe be expecting a trailer for that because that comes out in October, I believe.
Right.
So maybe as we get closer to summer, maybe when Avenger comes out in April, they'll put a trailer for Joker on there.
Well, yeah, I keep forgetting that movie's coming out this year.
Yeah.
the Avengers.
I know that's just a few months away as well. I mean, it comes out the same month as Shazam, which sometimes I forget because Avengers, all the movies used to come out in May, but last year they moved up Infinity War to April, and they did the same thing with Endgame for this year. So it's at the end of April. So just a few, 2-week window from Shazam to Endgame. It's going to be crazy that there's two superhero movies that close to each other, but I'm not complaining.
You would think that they would have put out a Shazam trailer for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's what I was expecting.
But I guess not. And what was that whole weird thing about, Marvel isn't going to put out a Super Bowl trailer, and then they end up putting out a Super Bowl trailer? And
see, I didn't hear that they weren't. Maybe I just wasn't keeping track of those reports, but they usually always put out something for one of their movies in the Super Bowl, so I was expecting it. I thought, well, here's the thing. Maybe I just thought it was Captain Marvel, which they did. Maybe not Avengers Endgame, but they did both, which was great.
Yeah. Right.
So, yeah, hopefully next episode we'll have a Shazam trailer. I would think they would like it attached to Captain Marvel coming out because that's just a month before Shazam was out. It's another superhero movie, so it makes perfect sense that would be the movie that maybe they're waiting to attach it with. But we'll see.
Maybe this isn't the time frame to put out Shazam. At this moment, it's not really a good idea. But
yeah, for whatever reason, they think so. But that's why we're not in charge of marketing, I guess.
Right.
But Jordan continues saying, in my last email, I mentioned how I thought nods to Batman characters in Gotham City would become even more prevalent in the Flareoverse leading up to Batwoman's premiere now that she's made her debut. And now not only do we have the Wayne Tech car in the Flash episode, The Flash and the Furious, but since I wrote my last email, we've now also gotten a nod to the Mad Hatter in the Flash episode Memorabilia, and nods to both Gotham City and Wayne Tech in Arrow's 150th episode, Emerald Archer. By the way, up until Elseworlds, I used to refer to the Flareoverse as simply the Arrowverse too. But now that the original Flash show has been fully incorporated into the universe, making it technically the first show set in the universe, and making it so that two of the shows that comprise this universe are focused on the Scarlet Speedster, I felt it was time to start referring to the universe as the Flareoverse, as I know some of the fans already had long before me. So that's the reasoning that we were asking last time of why we calling it the Flareoverse, and it makes sense. The old 1990s Flash series is in that continuity now, so if that technically was the first one, so it makes sense, Jordan. Good job on that. But yeah, ever since the crossover episode with Batwoman, the Gotham and Batman references have just been flying out every episode now. It's like they're running with Gotham being in this universe now, so which is cool. As we know, the Batwoman TV series is coming, and might as well start using those references. Also, in my last email, I geeked out super hard over the preview pages for Batman 63. And now that the entire issue is out and I've read it, in this email I can geek out super hard over the rest of it. I adore this issue so much. Spoilers. When I finished reading this issue for the first time, it felt like waking up from a dream I never wanted to end. Seeing Bruce and Selina happy together once again makes me super happy. And we see much more of the continuing off from the preview pages where we got 3 Bat-Cat kisses right at the beginning of the issue. Then there's one of the most heartbreakingly beautiful Bat-Cat moments ever. Throughout the issue, Constantine is warning Batman that Catwoman is going to die. But Batman isn't listening to him. Batman wants to only be with his wife. However, as we all know, Batman is the genius, and he eventually has to come to grips with the fact that Constantine is right. So riding with Catwoman in the Batmobile, which reminds me of when they ride through Gotham City together in the Everyone Loves Ivory story, Batman just asks Catwoman to kiss him. Catwoman is, of course, happy to oblige, but she's confused as to the abruptness of Batman's request. Bat, what? She starts to ask. Kiss me now, while Batman can't explain, but we know it is because he knows Constantine is right, and he wants to make sure he savors every moment he has with the love of his life. He wants Catwoman to kiss him because he knows as soon he won't be able to ask her to do so. Batman will have to watch Catwoman die, and then Batman will eventually have to wake up to a life where Catwoman left him. When we kiss, the pain goes away, Batman says, and Batman and Catwoman talk about that in the love letters all the way back into the I Am Suicide. When they're together, the pain of their respective past subsides. Batman needs Catwoman. She's the only person who truly makes him happy. Batwoman and Catwoman share a beautifully passionate kiss in the Batmobile. When they unlock their lips and look into each other's eyes, Catwoman asks, "Is that enough?" "No, never," her husband responds. This moment makes me completely sob, and I adore it. Batman always needs Catwoman, and like we see at the beginning of this issue, as I talked about in my last email when discussing the preview pages, he wants to be with Catwoman every single possible moment he can be. Here, Batman knows he's going back to a world where they're not married, yet, and he never wants his super beautiful dream to end. He never wants the happiness to end and the pain to return. Batman's response to Catwoman there is also my response there or in any situation involving whether that's enough Bat-Cat, because I can never get enough of my OTP. This issue is a super beautiful reunion of Batman and Catwoman, even though it's just a nightmare. And it's taken my excitement level for them to finally reunite for real even further through the roof, which I wasn't sure was even possible given how extremely excited I, of course, was for that already. And then Detective Comics 997 is Bat-tastic 2. Spoilers, this issue actually reminds me a bit of what Tom did back in Batman 62, by really showing us through Batman's inner monologue how Batman thinks his way out of a death trap. Catwoman makes a little appearance in this issue that makes me both super happy and breaks my heart. I'm intrigued by the tease at the end of the issue too. Hugo Strange had a big role early on in Rebirth. I can't wait to see what Peter J. Tomasi has planned with him next. I'm writing this email the Tuesday prior to the Lego Movie 2, the second part's release, but I got to see it almost 2 weeks early. I had to drive over an hour out of Atlanta to get to the theater where it was showing early, and it was 100% worth it. Coincidentally enough, back when the Lego Batman movie came out 2 years ago, I also took a long drive to see that, since I was living in a tiny town for college at the time, and the little theater in town didn't do a Thursday night screenings, and I couldn't wait to see the Lego Batman movie. Anyway, I just thought I'd share some non-spoilerly thoughts on the Lego Movie 2. This film is Bat-tastic. Batman has a bigger role in it than he did in the first one, and there's even a Bat-tastic musical number involving him that features a Bat-tastic nod to the Bat-Cat relationship that makes me super happy. So if it's as good as his song in the beginning of the Lego Batman 2, the heavy metal one, then I'm all for it. That song is awesome. Because Jason Momoa voices Aquaman in the Lego Movie 2, and it's super exciting hearing him again in the role so soon after Aquaman's release. I hope you guys enjoy the Lego Movie 2, and I'm eager to hear your thoughts and then share some more in-depth spoilerly thoughts with you. I got my ticket to see the Lego Movie 2 a second time this Thursday, and I am super pumped for my second viewing. Yeah, I don't know if probably won't see the Lego Movie 2 in theaters. Probably just wait for the home release on that one like I did the first one. But feel free to share your spoilerly thoughts with us on your next email, Jordan, because if Batman's in it more, then that's good. Because I'm really liking Will Arnett's portrayal of Batman. Every time I see whether it's the Lego Batman movie, when that first came out, or the new clips I'm seeing here, or just hearing Will Arnett talk about his playing Batman, it's just a lot of fun. I just love how he plays the character. So it's good that he's in this one more. As of my writing this email, the Justice League vs. the Fatal 5 trailer dropped today. Kevin Conroy, George Newbern, and Susan Eisenberg all have some Bat-tastic lines in it, and it's just exciting hearing them all as the Trinity again. I'm super hyped that the DCEAU versions, presumably, of the Trinity interact with Jessica Cruz and Miss Martian as we see a bit of it in the trailer, as we're so used to seeing them interact with Jon Stewart and Martian Manhunter. While this film looks to be a Bat-tastic throwback to Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, that'll add a new dynamic to it as well. This is certainly another animated movie I'm super excited about. Yeah, I saw the trailer too, and I'm right there with you, Jordan. I'm just loving that this movie looks to be a continuation of Justice League, the animated series, but yet with a new roster of characters and new recent characters created in the comics like Jessica Cruz. So yeah, it seems to be a nice culmination of familiar looks at our heroes with Kevin Conroy, George Newbern, and Susan Eisenberg back as Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, mixing up with some new characters. And that Bruce Timm Justice League style always looks great. So I'm excited about this one too. Okay, a couple of questions to wrap this email up. With Kyodai Ken now being incorporated into the main DC continuity, which other non-canonical character would you most want to see incorporated into the main continuity? For me, it's Ethan Bennett from The Batman. What the Batman does with this best friend of Bruce and the GCPD detective over the course of the series is a stroke of genius. I know you've watched the first few episodes of The Batman, Tim, so you've met Ethan, but that's only the very start of the brilliance that is in his arc. I won't spoil it, but I think you're going to be blown away by it when you finally watch The Batman. Which, by the way, The Batman is finally now on the DC Universe app. We were wondering, where it is. It wasn't on Netflix. It wasn't on the DC Universe app, but it is now on there. So when I do sign up, I'll be able to catch up on these episodes, Jordan. But I did see the first, like I said, I did see most of the first season, and I know about what happens to Ethan in that first season. Maybe I don't know all the details, but basically I know he turns into Clayface by the Joker is somehow involved with that. But other than that, I don't know if he shows up again, if he gets cured, he stays as Clayface. So that'll be something I'll have to look out for or see unfold once I get to watching this episode. But I agree. He was a pretty cool new character created for the series. Someone who was a friend of Bruce and working in the GCPD. It was a cool story angle to, go with in this series, and a new direction to look at Bruce as his role as Batman and having his friend as someone in the GCPD. So I thought that was a cool little thing to put in the series for the time, and probably would be cool to see that character being brought in the continuity as well. So good call on that one. I agree. But for me, I think I'm going to go with the Batman, of course, with Batman the Animated Series. But this one is kind of different because, well, different yet maybe not unique in a way, because I'm going to say the Grey Ghost. And the Grey Ghost, I know, is a character that's been referenced a lot in Batman comics, some in continuity, some in not. But I just think the character can be used as someone who actually existed in the DC universe, or at least the actor who was there, have Batman interact with him, because I don't think that's been done yet. Like I said, it's mainly just been nods and references to the Grey Ghost, but we've never actually seen him. But I think it would just be cool if the Grey Ghost was an actual hero from the Golden Age, and maybe he was just a character they decided to base short serial movies off of that Bruce got to know about. But I just think that character is just really cool and fits in that Golden Age of the DC universe. It'd be cool if that was like a real hero who Batman looked up to and then eventually got to meet and work with. I always love that aspect of the story. So Grey Ghost would be one I'd like to see, unless I'm mistaken and they did do a story that I haven't read or knew about the Grey Ghost being in the actual DC continuity. But as far as my memory goes, I don't think he has been. Like I said, just a lot of references and Easter eggs and nods there. So, but I think he'd be a character who would be cool to be brought in the continuity as well.
Yeah,
how about you, Dane?
Yeah, sure. Grey Ghost, Kyodai Ken. But I'm going to go with the most important one, which is Barbara Wilson from Batman and Robin. She was raised in England, even though she doesn't have a hint of an accent. But yeah, Barbara Wilson for me.
You see, I know Alfred's brother has been there is a comics continuity version of Alfred's family and his brother, but I don't remember if he actually had a daughter and his name was Barbara, though. I kind of doubt it. But I don't know. Regardless, that wasn't the way to go with Batgirl and Batman and Robin.
yeah, that wasn't too good. Just make her Barbara Gordon.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know. How about Gordon? Anyway, Jordan's second question is, since you guys were discussing a couple of them on your last episode, I figured I would ask you how you rank the live-action Batmobiles. I'm not including the one on Titan because although from what we can see, it looks Bat-tastic, we don't get a complete clear look at it, and therefore I don't feel it can be ranked along with the others yet. I'm also not including the Batmobiles used in the serials because while they look Bat-tastic, they're simply regular cars, which is true. My ranking is number 6, the Batman and Robin Batmobile. Number 5, the Batman Forever Batmobile. Number 4, the Batman 66 Batmobile. Number 3, the Batman 89 and Batman Returns Batmobile. number 2, the DCEU Batmobile, and number 1, the Tumbler. And my list is going to be number 6, the Batman Forever Batmobile, as we talked about last episode, how that's the worst Batmobile design ever. The Batman and Robin follows. And then number 4, I'm going to go with the Tumbler. Number 3, the Batmobile from the 66 series. It's such a cool, sleek design that I don't think it's ever going to look old. And then I'm going to go with the DCEU Batmobile as well. I thought that was a really cool look, kind of a hybrid of a classic Batmobile and the Tumbler. But no surprise here. Number 1, 89 Batman Returns Batmobile. The greatest Batmobile ever. The greatest car design ever. It's just, it can't be beat. It's the coolest car ever. It just looks amazing. So that is my number 1 pick with no surprise to anyone.
All right, so I'm just going to do 3. My first one, of course, is going to be the Tumbler. I mean, you just can't beat it, right?
Sure you can. The 89 Batmobile.
No, you can't. No, you can't, Tim. So 3 is the Tumbler. 2, of course, is Batman and Robin Batmobile. And number one, Tim, can you guess it? Say it with me. The Batman Forever
Batmobile. Hey, how did I know you were going to pick that one, Dave?
Because, I mean, it just looks beautiful with all of its ribs and light in there for no reason. You just
the
can't
way it
beat
could drive up walls is like no other.
You just can't beat it. Not in animated movies, animated TV shows, video games, comics, movies, etc. You just can't beat it.
The only thing that makes me feel better about that, Dane, is knowing that you're joking. Because if you were serious, then, I don't know. This podcast might have to be over.
It would be unacceptable. Yeah, you would never talk to me again.
You'd have to buy me the 1989 Batmobile for making me to forgive you.
No, seriously, my number 1 is the Tumbler. Number 2 is the 89. Number 3, I didn't like the movies, but I will say the Batman versus Superman Batmobile.
Yeah, it is a cool look.
Yeah.
Have you seen that Walmart commercial where they're advertising like their pickup, where you just order online and you pick it up?
Yeah,
and they all these classic, like iconic cars racing over there, and that Batmobile is one of them.
Yeah, what was that? Was that just a commercial? Or,
yeah.
Oh, that was a Super Bowl commercial.
That was actually before the Super Bowl, but you're right. It does feel like one of those commercials that would have been for the Super Bowl. Oh yeah, it's a real cool commercial though. But that's it for Jordan's email. As always, he says, Batcat forever from the first kiss to the last. Your bad brother, Jordan. So thanks as always for your email, Jordan, and we'll look forward to your next one. And with that, we could normally, I would say, move on to our comic book reviews. But as I said at the beginning of this episode, I haven't had a chance to get to my comic book shop, so I am still behind on several issues. But I did want to have some review at the end, and I did finally get to watch the Reign of the Supermen animated movie. So I'll be giving a quick review of that. But before I do, Dane, what should our rating scale be?
Well, before we get to the rating scale, what I should have said for my non-canonical DC character to be in the canon, I should have said Misbehavin' from
Misbehavin'?
Yeah, the Vivica A. Fox character.
The what character?
Vivica A. Fox from Batman and Robin.
Oh man! Like even when you said the name, like that's not ringing a bell.
Yeah, I just typed in Batman and Robin into Wikipedia. I was going through the cast list. It was like Misbehaving. I don't even remember Vivica A. Fox in that movie.
Yeah, neither do I. Well, there's a lot I don't remember about that movie. So.
Yeah. Oh, and also Julie Madison was in that movie.
Yeah, that I do remember.
I totally forgot about that.
Talk about underutilized.
Yeah. She's in like one scene. She only has like 2 lines.
Yeah, I think so. Like, well, maybe 2. One where her and Bruce are at some gallery where they bump into Poison Ivy. And then they have, then their dinner scene at the Batcave where she wants to get married or something like that.
But our rating scale for this episode is going to be underutilized characters in Batman and Robin.
Yeah. I knew it had to be. But it sounds perfect. So yeah, Reign of the Superman. I'm going to be going into spoilers in this review. So if you haven't seen the movie yet and you don't want to know about it, might want to hold off and then come back after you see the movie to hear what I thought. So Death of Superman, I really loved that movie. I thought they did a great job adapting that aspect of the Death of Superman story, and was really excited about, seeing the next part of it, which was Reign of the Superman, and just how to finally get a full, complete story of the Death of Superman be told in 2 movies. So yeah, I was super excited about it. I felt the first movie delivered, and with the Reign of the Superman, unfortunately, it didn't quite do it for me. I left seeing the movie pretty disappointed, but I was disappointed in general with it. But I guess I'll just start off with the negative aspect of it. And I should say, going into the movie, I wasn't too familiar, or I shouldn't say not too familiar, but it's been forever since I read the Reign of Superman comics. I've only read it once as a kid when I was 9 years old. So my memory of what transpired in that story wasn't that great. But at the same time, going into this movie, I felt, well, that's kind of cool, because I'll just go into the movie and see how they adapt it. And because I actually knew they were doing some different stuff with it. So, but I just didn't know how different, because I didn't have a great memory of everything that transpired in the Reign of Superman story. So, but I was just going to go into it and see what they did. And if it worked, cool. And I'll look up after I see the movie to see how different it actually was. But comes to a point in the movie where it reveals, the big twist or the big change in direction they decided to go with the story. And even without remembering everything that happened in the comic storyline, I knew right away, okay, this is different, and we'll see where it goes. But at the end of the day, it just didn't quite work for me. And that is pretty much Darkseid was behind everything with the Death of Superman. He created Doomsday. He sent Doomsday to Earth to kill Superman. Then he devised a plan to take the Justice League out of Earth. He sends them to this, pocket dimension where they're just fighting endless monsters. And then it reveals he was the one behind Cyborg Superman. And his plan was pretty much to get Cyborg Superman to get the trust of the government and have him create this army of cyborg hybrid humans, where he used Mother Box technology to have any normal human come up. Because the whole point is that Cyborg Superman, after he gains the trust of the president and the Justice League disappeared, he goes, we need to protect the Earth and defend it. And what better way to do that than using the technology that saved my life and bring it to normal humans? So he does that and turns any humans into like these mindless cyborgs who, are there to protect the Earth, but at the same time, they're just mindless puppets who will, of course, be used to Darkseid's means, and that is to generate this boom tube to open the gate to bring Darkseid back to attack Earth now that Superman's dead and there's no Justice League. And when I first saw that Darkseid was involved, I thought, this is interesting. This could work. We'll see where it goes. But at the end of the day, I wish they didn't do it. Darkseid, his appearance in it felt really anticlimactic, because if you're going to bring Darkseid in and have him use Cyborg Superman as his puppet to bring him back to Earth, I guess just go all the way and do it. Because there's a section at the end of the movie where the portal's open, Darkseid and his army is about to invade Earth again. They're so close, but at the end of the day, Steel, Superboy, and the revived Superman stopped that. And Lois Lane stopped that from happening. I should throw in Lex Luthor in here too. He actually helped at the end, was kind of a hero. They all stopped that from happening. Darkseid never invades Earth, and it just felt, I don't know, very anticlimactic, where you see Darkseid trying to make this triumphant return to Earth, and the portal closes, and you just see him go, no, I'm trapped again, and that's it. You don't hear from Darkseid again. I just didn't like how Darkseid had to be involved in the creation of Doomsday and the death of Superman. It's just like, it does one of those things where not everything has to be connected and be this well orchestrated by this mastermind. And I just wanted it to be this death of Superman story that deals with Doomsday and Cyborg Superman being the main antagonist. And I didn't like how it kind of undermined Cyborg Superman, in my opinion, where, like I said, he was just Darkseid's puppet. And they tried to do it at the end where, no, his hatred and motivation for trying to kill Superman again is because he hates Superman for him not being there to save him and his wife, and that was his motivation, and that was good enough for me how it was in the comics. But he didn't need Darkseid, because he kind of said how Darkseid honed my hatred and made me realize how I could use it as a weapon to get revenge. And it just, to me, it was just unnecessary. I just felt like Darkseid, as much as I love the character, he's one of my favorite villains, it just felt unneeded, and it's an unnecessary addition and almost like a plot twist for this movie that, for me, it just didn't work, and I wasn't a fan of. Because it undermined certain characters to me, like Cyborg Superman, as being a really great main antagonist. So that was a little disappointing, and probably my biggest complaint about the movie. But I will say I loved the first half of it. I loved how they introduced the 4 different Supermen: Superboy, Steel, Cyborg Superman, the Eradicator. Thought they were all handled really well. There's this great action sequence with them kind of in the beginning of the movie where Lex is having this, a party where he's revealing how Superboy is his, new Superman. He's part of LexCorp. He's going to be the hero that's going to protect Metropolis now that Superman's dead. But then all the Supermen get involved, and it's a pretty cool action sequence, I got to say, seeing them all fight against each other. I really like that a lot. And another good aspect of it too was it almost felt like it was Lois Lane's movie. I mean, she really shined in this one, where she was the main focus throughout most of the film, especially in the first half, was her investigating about the Supermen, trying to expose who Cyborg Superman really is, discovering he's Hank Henshaw. So there's a lot of good aspects to this movie, but just the main storyline is what really holds it back for me as far as being a really good telling of the death of Superman story. And like I said, how I wasn't familiar with everything that went down in the original comic story, but after I saw the movie, I went back and read up on it, and then remembered exactly what happened in the actual comic storyline. And to me, that just would have been enough. It was just Cyborg Superman. There was a story where he teams up with Mongo. They destroy Coast City, which sets off a chain of events with Hal Jordan becoming Parallax. I don't think they needed to do that, but just have something where Cyborg Superman really does something to show how evil he is without the manipulation of Darkseid. Like, he could have destroyed a portion of Metropolis, and that would have added to the big conflict that him and Superman would have at the end, where Superman being revived would have to defeat Cyborg Superman and restore Metropolis. This little different ways I think they could have went without involving Darkseid and having that being the main, threat they had to stop. So the return of Superman 2, or I should say the return of the actual Superman when he was revived, I thought that was handled well. Just his fight with Cyborg Superman, for the most part, wasn't too exciting until at the very end when Lois opens the sun rays on the watchtower and he's exposed to the rays of the sun and gets his full powers back and takes out Cyborg Superman. That was cool, but that action, the whole ending was pretty much anticlimactic for me, in my opinion, with the Darkseid stuff and then Superman's final fight with Cyborg Superman. But there was some other great moments in there too. The Justice League, they weren't in it as much as the death of Superman, but there was a cool little action sequence in the middle part where they're trying to protect the president and the civilians there. It was supposed to be the launch of the watchtower in space, and they were there to protect the president, and then the parademons invade, and there was a cool action sequence there, and some just great interactions with all the characters. More great stuff with Green Lantern. Nathan Fillion does a great job as Hal Jordan in these movies, so it's always a plus when he's in there. But so overall, I guess if I were to score it, I'd give it 3 out of 5 underutilized characters from Batman and Robin. Like I said, the first half I really enjoyed. I liked how they introduced the 4 different Supermen, and then how the Justice League was involved, even though minimal. They were used pretty well, and Lois was great in the movie. But just the main story and the Darkseid stuff really brought it down for me. And the last half of it just didn't quite measure up to what I enjoyed in the death of Superman and then the first half of this movie. So, yeah, I'm going to give it a 3. And at the end of the day, this whole adaptation of the death of Superman, that one's harder to score because it really is a tale of 2 stories pretty much. I just felt, I will say, they didn't quite nail it like I was hoping they would when it was first announced, because they just really didn't stick the landing with the last half of the reign of Superman like I was hoping they would. So in the end, this is an enjoyable story, though. I'm glad they got to adapt it in a much more significant way than they did with Superman Doomsday in 2007. Just didn't quite end on the way I was hoping with, and how they used the reign of the Superman, especially Cyborg Superman. So, I'll give it a 3. But in the end, it's cool that we just have another adaptation of the story, which a full adaptation, because that was always my biggest complaint about Superman Doomsday, just how rushed it felt. So even though there were some things I didn't like about this one, it's nice to have one full story that adapted the biggest stuff we remembered from the big event of the death of Superman. So yeah, after this one, next is Batman or Justice League versus the Fatal Five, which looks really cool, and then Batman Hush, which is kind of be in similar vein, I think, to Superman Doomsday or not Superman Doomsday, the death of Superman and Reign of the Superman, and how that looks to be in the DC movie universe continuity. So we'll see if they do any changes to Hush like they did with Reign of the Superman.
Oh, I thought you were going to say a Killing Joke.
Oh, no. Well, that's a good point, Dane. I will say the changes made here in Reign of the Superman, not nearly as bad as the Killing Joke changes. So. I think that will always have the unfortunate distinction of being one of the worst changes
choices.
Or additions. Yeah, choice is another good word for these DC animated movies.
All right, so I guess that's it from us, right?
Yep, that's it. A little different episode. We had our news and discussion topics as our feature topic. Didn't have a comic reviews. That's why we had a movie review at the end.
Right. So yeah, just go over to the BatmanUniverse.net, Facebook.com/BatmanUniverse, Twitter handles at BatmanUniverse, show's Twitter handle is at Bat-Fans Podcast, Tim's Twitter handles at TimG311, and Dane's Twitter handles at Dane Says Banana. And you can rate and review the show on iTunes, and you can email the show at batfanswithoutpants@gmail.com. So with that, like we say at the end of every single episode today,
We love each and every one of you with all of our bat and underutilized Batman and Robin characters heart.
That's a good one. We'll see you guys next time.
See you next time, everybody.
Sunrise under Gotham, Crime Alley is a rich boy's tomb. There's a stealing cat